Well, in just a day before domestic flight operations are set to resume across the country, there's still confusion about the rules and readiness in various states. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has sought more time to resume flight operations in his state. Maharashtra is the worst affected state right now, with over 47,000 cases, the maximum number of them from Mumbai itself. The centre, meanwhile, has issued another set of guidelines allowing states to decide on protocol for quarantine. The government is also likely to resume international flights in August, as the guidelines also specify that international travellers coming to India will have to follow a 14-day quarantine, which will be split into two, which is 7 days of paid institutional quarantine and the rest will be home quarantine.
आजच सकाळी माझं आपले पुरी आहेत म्हणजे केंद्रीय सिव्हिल एव्हिएशनचे मिनिस्टर त्यांच्याशी बोलणं झालं आणि त्यांच्याबरोबर सुद्धा बोलताना मी त्यांना तेच सांगितलं की जरा आम्हाला एक अंदाज घेऊ द्या. आम्हाला कोणालाही काही लॉकडाऊन 5 वर्ष आमच्या सरकारने काय केलं, लॉकडाऊन केला हे नाही, हे काय अभिमानाची गोष्ट नाहीये. आम्हाला हे सगळं सुरू करायचं, उलटं वाढवायचं चांगलं, पण ते वाढवताना खबरदारी घेऊन आम्हाला करायचे. एअरपोर्ट सुरू करायचं म्हणजे एअरपोर्टला लागणारा कर्मचारी वर्ग किती लागणार, या सगळ्या गोष्टी आपल्याला करायच्या आहेत, नक्कीच करायच्या आहेत.
Even as the state government is not supporting the idea of starting flights to and from Mumbai, because Mumbai falls under red zone and because of the exponential increase in the number of cases, Mumbai airport on its part is saying that it's completely equipped to handle passengers at this point, simply because it had been, operating special flights, cargo flights from this particular airport. There is limited flights that's going on right now, and you can see thermal screening of these staffers happening at this point. Thermal screening is going on, and there are boards put up that says follow, practice social distancing, prevent yourself from COVID-19. There is also several other hygiene factors, sanitization, exercise that's going on inside the airport. So the airport authorities tell us that they are fully equipped to handle the load of passengers. It's just 1/3 that we are talking about, even though state government feels that this is not the right time to resume operations in airports such as Mumbai, simply because of the rising number of cases, and people coming from green zones are only going to be put at risk, and it will also be a logistical nightmare.
Well, and the Bengal government is against immediate resumption of flight operations because it's tackling the cyclone fallout. Listen into what Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee had to say.
অন্তত 25 তারিখে না করে অলরেডি 30 তারিখ লকডাউন পর্যন্ত করতো, তাহলে আমরা সামনে নিতাম. আমি জানি পাবলিকের অসুবিধা, পাবলিক আপনাকে ওয়েলকাম করছি, তাহলে কোয়ারেন্টাইন সেন্টারেও থাকতে হবে, তারা বাড়িতে থাকবে, সেই সুবিধা আমরা দিব, কিন্তু তাকে বাড়িতে কোয়ারেন্টাইনে থাকতে হবে, সেই অ্যাডভান্টেজ আমরা দিচ্ছি. আর একান্তই যদি 25 তারিখ থেকে 28 তারিখ পর্যন্ত অন্তত টাইম দিতে 3 দিন আমাদের, কিন্তু আমাদের ওখানে লোকদের এসে কমবে, 25 তারিখ থেকে ওরা যদি চেঞ্জ করে, আমরা যেমন রেলে যেমন 27 তারিখ বলেছি, 27 তারিখ থেকে তেমনি তোমরা বলো যে ট্রেনটাও যদি 30 তারিখ থেকে করে ভালো.
The Bengal government is struggling to get things back in order. It is acting according to priorities, and the priority right now is to restore communication, is to clear the roadways of the blockades that have been caused by the massive uprooting of trees that have happened both in the city of Kolkata as well as in the adjacent districts of North, South 24 Parganas, East Midnapur and so on. The reason why Mamata Banerjee wants the flight services to be deferred is because she currently is concentrating on getting the house in order to ensure that the movement of vehicles can be done in these areas, and that would take some time, and that some time is because of the fact that large areas of South Bengal are currently reeling under massive crisis because of the infrastructure deficiency that currently persists.
Well, so those are two states at the moment, Maharashtra and Bengal, both of them saying that they are not fully prepared at the moment to allow domestic operations to start, which is going to be from tomorrow. Meanwhile, states and centre may be at odds too, but airports are prepared. Zeba Warsi gets us this exclusive tour of the Delhi airport, detailing the procedures that you'll now have to follow.
CNN News 18 has reached Delhi International Airport to give you all the details of how flying is changing. First, let us show you how to enter the airport because there are many protocols that have to be followed. Once you've reached the airport, it is advisable that you have your boarding pass printed out. Remember, web check-in only is the procedure in the initial phase. After that, your printed boarding pass will have a barcode. So this is a scan and fly counter. Here you will place your barcode, whether it's on your phone or the printed ticket. Right here, you'll scan your barcode and you will get a proper boarding pass from this particular counter. You take that boarding pass and you move ahead, check which gate is designated for your airline, and then you head for your baggage sanitizing zone. You place your checked-in baggage and your bigger handbag inside this baggage sanitizing zone, and you will be checked for temperature. If you are within the prescribed limit, I am 97.3, it's pretty hot in Delhi, and then you proceed, you pick up your bag from the sanitizing zone, you sanitize your hand. Again, this is a no contact sanitizing, I'm not touching anything, yeah, and sanitize your hands well, and then you proceed to enter the airport terminal building. Here, the CISF personnel is standing behind this glass. So you will show your ticket on one hand and your ID proof on the other in this manner. He's going to check it and then he'll allow you to enter the airport premises. Now this is also another interesting aspect. Your shoes will be sanitized because there's a deep cleaning sanitizer which has been placed on this particular fabric. So as I walk inside the airport, my shoes are also being sanitized simultaneously. This is the thermal screening machine. It is screening me through the thermal screening technology. I'm going to quickly show you what it looks like here. So 98.6 is that upper limit. If you cross that, you will not be allowed to enter. And also at the entry, you will be asked to show whether you are in the green zone in the Arogya Setu app or fill in a declaration form for the same. Once again, sanitize your hands and let's enter the airport. Once we're inside the airport, this is going to be a very common sight. This is deep cleaning sanitization and this is going to be the norm. You will see this almost everywhere because constant sanitization of the airport premises is something that is one of the main SOPs for airports. Now we have our boarding pass which we printed ourselves. We also have taken the baggage sticker which we have to stick on our respective bags. Then we proceed to the boarding counters which are going to act more or less as a baggage drop counter. Once we've dropped our bags, it is time for us to straight away move to the security check-in. And finally, we are here for security. And these queues are going to be longer, which is why you've been advised to reach at least 2 hours before departure because there will be social distancing at play. You can see the social distancing marks that have also been placed on the floor to enable at least a 2-meter distance when you are standing in the queue for security. Now, once you put your bag and your handbags and everything under the security scanner, body frisking is something that is not going to be practiced. Once you're done with security, you move ahead straight to boarding, and from there on, the airlines are going to ensure a safe flying experience for you. Remember, everything has changed. In fact, the air that we are breathing inside the airport, we are being told is one of the purest because there's a high-tech air purification system which is also being placed. It seems to us that flying as we know it has changed, but it will be a safe experience because all necessary precautionary measures are being taken.
Meanwhile, BJP MP Rajiv Pratap Rudy, who's a pilot himself, says that restarting flights is a good decision taken by the government to reduce the distress in the aviation sector.
Rudy, I believe you're taking the first flight tomorrow at 10 a.m. I mean, your first flight post opening up of the skies.
I'm possibly shouldn't be saying so, but I'm possibly the only parliamentarian on the globe who's been actively flying ever since. And most of us do not know that I've been flying actively for 10 years.
Is it okay to fly? I mean, is this fear justified?
So putting it as a professional there, It's absolutely safe. And the systems in aircrafts, even before COVID, is one of the most purest. And if there is a sickness and an adjoining passenger is sick, that could be a crazy situation. But nonetheless, the precautions have been put in place for all those things. And inside the aircraft, there would be limited activity, no food served, some water, I presume. Movement should be restricted, toilets have to be used the least, and several SOPs. Cabin baggage has to be one, check-in baggage has to be one. One can check up with the circular what they are saying. That this was issued on 21st of May. And that circular issued by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, the Joint Secretary there has issued that circular. So it takes care of more of the issues. As far as you say safe, I'm not a doctor, but nonetheless, it is the safest mode.
You talked about domestic airlines, why needed to be opened up. You think over time, seeing the situation, even the international sector now eventually would have to be opened up?
Well, that's very, very important for the world economy to stabilize. And I do not really know the time frame because it's just not one country opening up. These are countries individually who have to decide. The moment you open the airlines, the hotels and the hotel industry will gear up for traffic, which they are the most hit, the most distressed. Airlines are also very distressed.
Even as we are talking about airlines being opening up tomorrow, there are many state governments, particularly the opposition state governments, who are saying that the federal spirit has been violated. We were not taken on board. You cannot have passengers moving from a green zone to a red zone or vice versa.
Politicians in India will not give up politics and they will hold on to it. And every good or bad, they will like to score a political point. So let's not debate it. Let's it happen.
Meanwhile, in the US, Memorial Day is the unofficial start of summer and it's usually a travel weekend. But things are different this time around. While most are nixing their plans, for others, traveling safely is their biggest concern. CNN's chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta shows us how to travel safely.
Things are going to feel a lot different the next time you go to the airport. First of all, it'll be less crowded, that's for sure. Certain precautions are in place, like plexiglass at the counters, telling people to keep their distance when they're in line. Let's go see what security's like.
Traveling in the age of coronavirus is all about averting risk. For airports, like here at Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, which is the world's busiest, it's about focusing on keeping things clean and distanced.
And once again, thank you for the spacing.
For travelers, it's about masks and touching as few things as possible, whether at check-in.
Don't forget to put your boarding pass on your phone ahead of time, less surfaces to touch. One thing I do want to show you is how I pack nowadays. I got my hand sanitizer. So this is when I do a little hand sanitizer. Put that back in, make sure everything's back in the bag, and I can be on my way. Constantly wash the hands. Also, look, they're cleaning the bins back there. That's a good idea.
Many airlines like Delta are wiping down more frequently and misting the entire planes with disinfectant.
Everyone is going to decide whether or not it makes sense to fly. It's the sort of risk-reward proposition. One thing I'll tell you is that separating yourselves out, obviously important, that's the distance, but think about the duration. Shorter flights are obviously going to be better as well. One thing you'll see here at Delta is that they are boarding from the back of the plane first. 10 people at a time we hear. Now when you get to your row, a couple things to keep in mind. Try and touch as few surfaces as possible. When I sit down, I'm actually going to try and choose a window seat. And the reason being that I'll just have less contact with people who are walking by the aisle. Here's another tip. You open this, which is called the air gasper, and you turn it up as high as you can and feel the air there right in front of you. That's going to cause some turbulent airflow in front of you and possibly break up any clouds of virus. It's a small tip. It might make a difference, easy to do, could be worth it.
Well, for the third consecutive day, COVID-19 cases have witnessed record single-day spikes. India has registered over 6,700 cases and over 140 deaths in the last 24 hours, taking the total COVID count to 1.3 lakh. The death toll is now more than 3,800. Maharashtra continues to be the epicenter of the outbreak, registering more than 47,000 cases, with Mumbai alone accounting for over 28,000 cases. Tamil Nadu comes in a close second with the maximum number of cases yet again in the capital in Chennai, followed by Gujarat and Delhi, where cases continue to spike. My colleague Ritanshu Bhattacharya brings us the latest numbers on the corona wall.
And for the third consecutive day, as we told you, COVID-19 cases have witnessed a record single-day spike. And without any further ado, let's decode all of them with the most powerful tool in television news media, that is the corona wall here. First off, the statistics here, as you can see, 6,700 more cases reported in the past 24 hours alone. The number of active cases, though, is above 73,000, which means a recovery rate of over 41,000, and which means that about 2,600 people have recovered. But the death toll, of course, is touching 4,147 deaths have been reported in the past 24 hours alone. The top 5 states, it is a familiar picture here, but what is again of note is the fact that Maharashtra has at #1 spot, has more cases confirmed than the next 3 states added together. Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Delhi together, while each of them have 10,000 plus cases, they still fall short of Maharashtra with a whopping 47,000 cases, 2,600 cases reported in the past 24 hours alone. Let's look at how each state is dealing with when it comes to the active cases, which is what really counts when it comes to keeping the curve flat. Of course, when it comes to the country, you see there is a steady increase in the number of active cases, and you see over this portion here, from the 17th of May onwards, there has been a steep inclination in the number of active cases, which means the number of new cases registered per day is far greater than the number of recoveries made as well. Quickly, let's go through some of the states here. The top 5 states, as you mentioned about Maharashtra, again, a similar picture. There's absolutely no success whatever in controlling the curve, even for a couple of days at this point. That's not been the case with Delhi here. Delhi has done slightly better. Let's quickly have a look at Delhi as well. Delhi has had successes, as you see at this area around from the 14th of May to the 20th of May. It was managing to keep the curve a bit flat, but it's increased once again towards the 24th of May. And let's finally have a look at Tamil Nadu, which was the other important concern. There you see, there was a huge inflection at around the beginning of this month, but they are trying to keep the curve slightly static, but it's again not working in the past 2 days at this point. Let's now look at some of the important cities as we understand as to how these metropolitan cities are really adding on to India's case load. First, of course, as you point out, this is the third consecutive day of a record number of cases being added here. We had 6,000 cases on the 22nd of May, then 6,600 the day later, and today 6,767 cases here. Of course, if you look at the citywide contribution, once again, Mumbai, almost 22% of all cases across the country are from one city alone, which is Mumbai. Delhi almost 10%, Ahmedabad around 7.6%. Together, these 3 cities alone account for 40% of the total cases in the country. If you look at the growth rate here, Maharashtra, again, keep in mind the national average is 5.3, but there are states like Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu which are above the growth rate, average growth rate. But what is of concern are these 3 states, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha and Bihar here. The number of cases might not be a lot compared to Maharashtra and Delhi, for instance, but look at the growth rate. Bihar reporting a growth rate of 11.4%, Odisha 7.7%. That's predominantly due to the number of migrants which have come in from the rest of the country into these 3 states over the past 1 week or so.
Well, let's move on. Karnataka is observing its first complete curfew Sunday as part of the state's new lockdown guidelines. Stacey Pereira with this report.
It's a complete lockdown being observed across Karnataka. This was an order given by the state government where they said that every Sunday there's going to be a complete curfew. Now, except for essential services, which is your fruit and vegetable and medical stores, everything else is supposed to remain closed. In fact, even on the streets, there is a proper bandobast by the police, not ensuring people do not venture out unnecessarily. There is also, you're not seeing any transport on the road, be it the public transport that was opened up since the 17th of May. Buses and taxis, autos are not going to be allowed on Sundays on the streets. And the government wants to make sure this is similar to how the Janta curfew was observed at the start of lockdown 1, and that is what is going to be observed on Sundays, at least till the 31st of May here in Karnataka. So there's not going to be any kind of public transport out on the streets. You're not going to see shops which are non-essential being open. All of them have been asked to shut down.
Well, and dampened by the coronavirus pandemic, Eid celebrations this year will lack the sheen of festivity associated with the festival. Eid ul-Fitr will be celebrated across the country tomorrow, except in Kerala and Jammu and Kashmir, where it's being observed today. This would probably be the first time that devotees in the country won't step out for congregations in mosques and offer prayers together. In fact, in both Kerala and Jammu and Kashmir, strict social distancing was maintained by the devotees. Now, the scare of the pandemic, lockdown restrictions as well as mass exodus of migrants from the cities has deprived Eid of the usual festivities. Mosques, including the Jama Masjid and Fatehpuri Masjid, are going to be closed due to the pandemic.
This is the Eidgah ground here at a place called Rawalpura in upscale market of Srinagar. Here, some 5,000 people used to attend for Eid prayers. However, today that is not happening. In fact, the gate is locked and people otherwise would come to this place, offer prayers. But you will see that the lawns are not maintained. In fact, they have not been mowed all these months, and that kind of gives you the description that people have given a miss to the prayers. But that said, people in localities, smaller localities, mullahs, they've offered namaz, the special Eid prayers, but they maintain social distancing protocols. We're hearing smaller gatherings are holding prayers in some areas, but clearly that is very much safe. Also, one thing that one is noticing this time around is that there are no kids prancing around the markets, no crackers to begin with, and clearly this is a somber Eid.
Eid celebrations without hugging, without public gatherings, without visiting family and friends. The lockdown has meant zero income for many, making this Eid a somber one, a somber affair.
इस बार की ईद थोड़ी अलग होगी क्योंकि लॉकडाउन चल रहा है।
मार्केट खुली भी होती तो जब भी कपड़े नहीं खरीदते अब क्या, बहुत लोगों ने खरीदे भी नहीं है, कुछ लोग हैं जो खरीद रहे हैं, थोड़ा बहुत अपने शॉपिंग कर रहे हैं, पैसा नहीं है पब्लिक के पास।
For the first time in 300 years, Jama Masjid in Old Delhi, one of Asia's most iconic mosques, is silent around Eid. Thousands would have gathered here, but amidst the coronavirus outbreak and the lockdown, the doors to worship are closed.
From Old Delhi to the old city of Lucknow, the month of Ramzan has never been quite like this. Markets are closed, people are indoors. For this family of Islamic scholars and academicians, iftars on Ramzan were big social affairs, but not this time.
तो हमारा जो इफ्तार होता था, उस इफ्तार के अंदर पोजीशन ये होती थी कि गैदरिंग होती थी, लोग आते थे, गेट टुगेदर होता था, एक दूसरे के प्रॉब्लम्स को डिस्कस करते थे, उनके मसाइल को सुनते थे। मस्जिदों के अंदर बेसिकली जो मस्जिदों के अंदर मगरिब की नमाज के बाद आपका मगरिब ये इफ्तार होता था कि पिछले साल के रमज़ान में इस रमज़ान में ज़मीन आसमान था।
I miss my friends and I was about to call my one best friend, but because of this lockdown she can't come.
Elders from the community are urging people to follow the lockdown and stay indoors.
We have to protect ourselves and we have to give the strong message to all community peoples. This is the main thing. We will spread, this is the people will be spreading, that is the, we have to aware the people and don't come outside. You have to stay in your houses. That is the main important thing, we have to aware the people.
For now, they're waiting for the day when things return to normal, when Eid is again about family, friends and celebrations. Bureau Report, CNN News 18.
Well, and Uttar Pradesh has become the first state to set up a migration commission. The panel will deal with skill mapping amid procuring jobs for lakhs of migrants who've returned to or will return to the state. After facing allegations of manufacturing the coronavirus, the Chinese government has said that it is open to an international effort to identify the source of the virus, but it should be done strictly by the scientific community and should be professional, impartial, open, transparent, objective and constructed. This is what Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister, said today. He even added that the United States and China are nearing the brink of a new Cold War. Michelin star chef Vikas Khanna has organized the world's largest Eid feast to feed 1.75 lakh people in Mumbai city. The world-renowned chef has worked round the clock to organize the feast, which began on the last Friday of the holy month of Ramzan. Khanna's initiative has been supported by some of the major food brands, foundations and companies. Vaishno Devi Shrine is feeding the Muslim community who've been quarantined in Katra. The shrine has converted one of its main bhavans into a quarantine camp to look after 500 Muslims who are stranded in the valley. In the wake of Ramazan, Vaishno Devi authorities have been preparing sehri and iftar for the inmates as well. With that, we're taking a very quick break. News and updates will continue. You can also log on to our website, news18.com, for more.